a guy said, well, I can get that Weller 107. I get the Weller 1012 for $100 on the internet. And I said, well, why are you talking to me for? Go.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another brand new episode of Bourbon Pursuit. And as usual, let's go through the news. The Bourbon Affair is happening this week, and if you're still on the fence about it, come and see us on Saturday morning at Higher Proof Expo. There's still tickets available. We're going to be there recording. Those recordings aren't going to be out for a while. So go to kybourbonaffair.com and get your tickets, and hopefully we'll see you there. This past week, we chose a winner to help come with us to blend our private blend of Maker's 46. And that winner is Tyler True. We put this out for anybody that was pledging over $10 or more per month on Patreon. You had to sign up, we ran it. And so we had quite a lot of people that were able to hopefully make the trip. So that's going to be happening later this month in June, where we're going to be going and doing our own private blend of Maker's 46. And those are only going to be available to Patreon supporters. And also congrats to all of our winners from May's giveaway, which was a barrel that's with 2 R's and 2 L's, that themed giveaway. You know, today's episode features something our fans always like to hear from, and that's the retailer side. If you've ever been to Bardstown and gone through the Bourbon Trail, you may have seen this little yellow store on the side as you're passing to go through to Willett or to Heaven Hill called Toddy's Liquors. Well, our guest today is the man who runs Toddy's. For some of you out there that always want to find epic bourbon, at retail, you probably aren't going to agree with some of his points. But I had the opportunity to catch up with Bill Thomas at Jack Rose and tell him about this episode. He told me that Guthrie was one of the original gangsters of bourbon. Guthrie helped jumpstart Jack Rose into what it is today, and he and Guthrie have a lot of great memories together. But as you could probably imagine, after probably the 10th millionth person on the visiting bourbon trail comes through and goes into Toddy's asking for a rare bourbon, you kind of have to see his side of it and know that the market is right for it. So with that, make sure you help support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/Bourbon Pursuit. We've got bottle totes, patches, koozies, barrel picks, and more. Make sure you follow us on social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you also like the show, write us a review on iTunes and also subscribe to us on iTunes. Also subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook. And if you want every new episode, go to bourbonpursuit.com, put in your email information, and you're going to get every new episode beamed straight to your inbox. With that, enjoy this week's episode.
Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many great bottles to choose from at the lowest price, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single barrel bourbon to try with some help from one of their friendly guides. And with every bottle comes the confidence of knowing you just found something amazing. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love and love what you find only at Total Wine & More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly and be 21.
Play Whiskey Wednesday, Round 11, the memory game. Until June 26, each week you can win one of our 12 incredible grand prizes. Select $2 at checkout. And if they match on drawing night, you'll win that bottle. Not a match? No worries. You still score a Weller 12-year. Every $5 ticket gives you 5 chances to win, including 4 weekly bonus prizes. Get your tickets now at give270.org. Charitable Gaming License ORG 0002703.
Ed Bly and Rising Tide Spirits are back again with a new release of Old Stubborn Bourbon. And this release of Old Stubborn is a premium hand marriage of 10, 11, and 12-year cask strength, barely filtered pot still bourbon. It comes in at a staggering 123.8 proof. And the flavoring grain for this one, which the last one was wheated, but this time it's now rye. Rich, sweet, and bold with a long finish that's sure to be another eye-opener. You can order online at Sealbox or thebourbonconcierge.com. And you can even purchase in person at Revival Vintage Spirits, and even now with very few select stores in Kentucky. You can get it now while you can, but be sure to do it because it's not going to last long. From their bar to yours, Chad and Sarah of the popular YouTube channel It's Bourbon Night bring you their favorite at-home old-fashioned mix with the new Elemental Elixir's Golden Hour Syrup. It's a custom-made syrup with notes of bold black tea, warm spices, and orange zest. All you need is your favorite whiskey and ice. No bitters needed. One bottle makes 16 drinks, so that's only $1 a cocktail before you add your own whiskey. They can also be enjoyed in other cocktails or spirits, mocktails, coffee, tea, and anything you can think of. It's crafted locally in Lexington, Kentucky, and you can get your bottle now at whiskeyambitions.com. Do you ever pour yourself a bourbon, swirl it around, and then start struggling to come up with tasting notes? And perhaps you're also looking for a good Father's Day gift idea. Well, you can now solve both with a kit from Knows Your Bourbon. And unlike other nosing kits on the market, Knows Your Bourbon kits feature real ingredients for the most authentic aromas. You can smell real Tahitian vanilla bean instead of some synthetic aroma that's just made from chemicals. So head on over to knowsyourbourbon.com and enter code BP10 for 10% off your order.
Welcome back to the episode of the Bourbon Pursuit Podcast, the official podcast of bourbon. Back in recording in Bardstown, Kentucky, Ryan's his lineage, right?
My hometown.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We're sitting here, and we actually met up with our guest today, and we were just walking down the sidewalk, and they are sitting there just talking, and like, oh, there's Barbara in the window or whoever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that
It's Javad, Chrysos.
It's you guys have this relationship that everybody knows everybody around here, and it's really intimate, right?
See, I live in Louisville now, but when I lived in Bardstown, you couldn't even go to Kroger or Walmart without seeing somebody, and you're like, you just want to go like grab milk or something, and it takes an hour because you see everybody you know, and it's like next thing you know, you're just shooting the shit about whatever, and you're like, you can't get anything done, so that's why I get out of here. No,
and not only that is you've known our guest today for a very long time, right?
Yeah. I mean, we become good friends here. Pikey, we have a good mutual friend, so that's how we kind of came together. But yeah, Guthrie and I, we go back, and we've been boys for a good bit.
So let's go ahead and we will introduce our guest today. So today our guest is Guthrie McKay. You probably might not have heard of him, but you've probably heard of his store if you've been on the Bourbon Trail. He is the owner of Toddy's Liquors here in the downtown Bardstown area.
Yeah.
He has been mentioned before on the podcast we had with I'm blanking now, with Jack Rose, with Bill Thomas.
Yep.
And that's where he kind of got a little bit famous from there first. So Guthrie, welcome to the show.
Thank y'all for having me, guys. Y'all are doing a wonderful thing. Anything with bourbon is good.
Yeah, it really is. I think our fans would say the same exact thing. So
Yeah.
I guess the first question to kind of get it kicked off here is talk about, the store. When did it start? How did you really start getting into bourbon and stuff like that too?
I was looking around. I was working construction, and I was looking around for something to get into. And Toddy Beam, who owned Toddy Beam's whiskey store, he was wanting to get out. This was in 1987. And so I went, and me and my partner went and talked to Toddy, and we bought it out within a half an hour. And this was July. We opened up on July 1st, 1987. And that was 31 years ago. I was 31 years old. I'm 62 now, and I can't believe how time flies.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about liquor except for drinking it.
See, this is how great. I didn't even know why it was called Toddy's, but now I guess it makes sense. But was it in that location?
No, it was out on Maple Hill.
On Maple Hill. Okay.
It was out on Maple Hill, and Toddy was a character.
Okay. How long had it been open there?
Toddy had been there for 27 years.
27 years.
He had opened it in 1960.
Okay.
So Toddy's has been going since 1960, which makes us 57 years old.
Why'd you keep the name? Why didn't you make Guthrie's?
I did change it to Toddy's Liquors instead of Toddy's Whiskey Store.
Okay.
So we changed it to Toddy's Liquors, and I just kept it at Toddy's because everybody knew who Toddy was. And so there's funny stories with Toddy. I still get calls, is Toddy there? And I go, no, Toddy's not here. And they'll go, well, he told me to give him a call back. And I said, now which Toddy are you talking about? And they said, little short Toddy. Well, Toddy died back in 2001. So they tell me they know Toddy all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how long it goes back. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But,
So you've been in this for 30 years, and talk about Bardstown 30 years ago, what it was like then compared to like what it is now in the bourbon scene.
It changed quite drastically. Back in 87, I sold back in 87, Elijah Craig was just starting. And I was the first store in the state of Kentucky that started buying in volume. And I still got the same salesman today. And they hashed it out down at Louisville Crown Distributing, and they came up with a 12-case deal. And I used to buy 12 cases of Elijah Craig and really helped get it started, me and my salesman. And he was Mike Herrick, and we really got it moving. But back then you had Very Old Barton, Evan Williams, sold a lot of Yellowstone back when I was first open. And Yellowstone's gone now.
Yeah.
And I used to buy 20 cases of Yellowstone, but it's gone, the 90 proof. And what else sold a lot of?
I was going to say, was Bardstown, a bourbon drinking town back then too?
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
Pretty much is bourbon and vodka. There was no wine.
Mm-hmm.
There was no wine. There was no wine in town. The one liquor store out of Kroger's had a little bit of wine, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
what kind of consumer was back then? What bourbons were they? I mean, you mentioned some Elijah Craig, but were they going after the premium brands, or were they
no, there was no premium
Yeah.
brands, right?
Yeah.
The Booker came along. You got Elijah Craig, and then Booker came along in 88 or 9. Booker, when I first opened, Booker would bring me by 2 bottles. I still got them all. He'd bring me by 2 bottles every Christmas in 87, 88, and I think 89, where he gave out his own Bookers. And then they started making it, I don't know, 89 or 90 is when they started making Bookers.
Did you have a hard time selling those like higher ends back then?
No, the Maker's Mark was pretty much your higher end.
Okay.
And if I recall, I sold Makers for, when it was first out, it's probably $17.99 for a fifth.
Okay.
And now it's $30.
Mm-hmm.
But in the scheme of things throughout the years, vodka hadn't gone up very much at all. Because I used to sell half gallons of vodka for $8.99. Now I sell them for $10.99. That's
Right.
That's value in your liquor stores.
Is that your number one seller, or is bourbon?
Bourbon and vodka are probably about 50-50. I sell a lot of vodka. Everybody sells a lot of vodka. You go into any store and you'll see they'll have their vodka stacked and they'll sell a lot of vodka. But I sell a lot of bourbon, I sell a lot more bourbon than a lot of stores.
Yeah.
Talk more about those early relationships. You had talked about Elijah Craig. Are there any other kind of those like first entrants that you had? I mean, I can honestly remember there was one time when I went to your shop years, I'd say not years. I think it was like 2013, 2014. And you had a Willett family private select, Willett family estates, your own private selector and stuff like that too. Right. So kind of talk about some of those other, first entrants, single barrels, all that kind of stuff that you've had over the years.
Well, we didn't get into it till, they didn't start selling the barrels until 2004 or 5 is when first barrel I ever bought was off Willett's. Mm-hmm. And my son had another store out here, and we bought barrels and barrels from Willett's. And then, of course, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they ran out of those to sell. But we bought a lot of barrels off Willett and did real well with them. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think they're selling any now anymore.
No,
I don't believe they are.
They're thinking about bringing them back. But.
Yeah, they are. It's the 5-year distillate. But anyway, beyond that,
the thing that I noticed that's a lot different is the master distillers. When you had Jim Rutledge, Parker Beam, Booker No driving by the window, somebody driving him, and Booker yelling, "Hey, boy, you got to eat. Old Bourbon Holla." Well, hell yes, Booker. I got some old Bourbon Holla. Well, give me a couple of bottles of it.
Yeah.
And that's what, it was just wild. And then, of course, Parker Beam was one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. And he taught me a whole lot. And he was just a very gentleman. They're all real gentlemen, including Booker in his own way. But Parker and Jimmy Russell and Jim Rutledge. And,
so would they just pop in randomly?
Yeah. I knew Jim pretty well, and knew Jim and Parker and Booker the best because they're all here. And then
they're basically next door neighbors around here, right? I mean, like I think we're not more than a football's throw away from Booker's house and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And Booker, as far as being accessible, Booker was just unbelievable. I could call his house and say, "Hey, I got 2 couples from California. They want an autograph on a bottle." Well, send them up, Guthrie. And sometimes I'd take them up there, and sometimes I'd send them up there. And just anything to do with bourbon, Booker always had time for you.
Right.
He always had time for you.
I was about to say is that dynamics had to change now, right? With how popular it's gotten. I'm sure you've got Fred No on speed dial, but you're not sending anybody to his house anymore.
Every once in a while.
Oh yeah, once in a while it has to be something like real special.
I like and of course Parker would do anything, and there was 6 guys came in. It's been 5-6 years ago, and they were big Heaven Hill fanatics. I forgot where they're from. And they just kept talking about Parker Beam and everything. And I told him that he had Lou Gehrig's disease. And they said, I said, he's doing okay. He's getting around okay and everything. And so they got to talking more. They bought some Heaven Hill, some Elijah Craig, this or that. And one of them said, boy, I'd like to meet him. And I said, well, give me a second. So I called up Parker. Hell, I guess it was 8 years ago. He was out at his house out here, which he moved to Lebanon. So I called Parker and I said, Parker, is it all right if I bring out these guys? They want to meet you. He said, bring them on out, Guthrie. So they followed me out to Parker's house. Well, hell, they ended up drinking. They stayed out there for 2 hours. And I'm sitting there going, only in Bardstown, Kentucky could this happen.
Yeah.
And they just loved it. That's just stories that have given me so much pleasure. Just stuff like that.
It's kind of a catch-22. You're glad that like bourbon's so popular now, but then like because it is so popular, you can't really do that anymore. And it's changed so much. It's like because you could do that literally every day now.
Those guys just didn't seem to care about the money as much as making good bourbon. Yeah, and everybody having fun. I never heard Parker or Booker, oh, we're going to make a bunch of money off this bourbon or whatever. Jim Rutledge, none of them ever said anything like that. Mm-hmm. Never thought it, I don't think. They just want to make good bourbon. And I was more like Parker. I just know good bourbon. When I taste the bourbon, I know if I like it or don't like it.
Yeah, we do tastings, or we do barrel picks. I've done some with you, and it's like our rating system is very simple. It's awesome. It's like it's either good or it sucks.
Very seldom do what we taste sucks.
Not that it sucks. But
the last one we did he liked one. That was a 1792.
Yep.
He liked another. I should have bought both barrels. But I said, this other barrel, I could sell it easier. It just got it's a little bit quiet. And his barrel that he liked, I liked it too. But I said,
that's big, bold, like
it's a little too. Well, I could have sold both of them.
He was like, that's for the whiskey geeks. He's like, I got to sell this crap. And I'm like, but no, I was like, this is the one you want.
But I could have sold both of them.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question to roll into that is you kind of have, you're centrally located right there in the middle of downtown. Like you can't get to Heaven Hill without, I mean, I guess you could go the other way, but usually you can go, if you try to go to Heaven Hill, like you're rolling by your store. You have a lot of ability and visibility of traffic. So I'm assuming that your store is becoming yet just another stop on the bourbon trail where people are coming in to just buy stuff, right?
Yeah, they come in, they're disappointed a lot because we just don't have what they want, that the collection or Pappy or whatever, and they just don't know that it's one time a year. And
you think you'd come to the heart of bourbon country
and find it?
Just go.
We're gonna come to the epicenter, and they have plenty of it.
Yeah.
I got so many Pappy stories that I couldn't even start to tell them all. But
what's the most annoying one?
Yeah, let's hear it.
The most annoying. What do you mean you don't have Pappy? What do you mean you don't know any better why I don't have Pappy? It's very hard to get. Mm-hmm. And at one time, believe it or not, Julian Van Winkle, I stocked 5 cases of Pappy 20-year-old for 3 or 4 years. stacked it all the time, and sold it for, I think I sold it for $54.99, 20-year-old. And so I'd get low, I'd buy 5 more cases. Nobody else, liquor barns, nobody else was stacking it. And it would take me a long time to sell. This was 1996 or 7, maybe 8. And then I go to buy 5 more cases. Well, that's on limited production now. When I stopped, well, hell, I'd have bought 30 cases of it. Right. If I'd known, back then you didn't know. They just stopped. And I got wind back in 2001, little birdie told me that Maker's Mark was going to do away with 101. Their Maker's 101, which was the gold label.
Yep.
Do you remember that at all?
No, I don't.
It was the 101 proof.
I do remember.
Well, I'd keep 2 cases because somebody come in, want to buy 6 bottles every once in a while. Well, I started in, I guess, March of 2001. I just started buying 3 cases, 5 cases, 3 cases. I didn't want anybody else to know. I didn't even want my salesman to know what I was doing. So I kept buying it and kept on going. And I got deliveries twice a week, so I'd buy 2. I couldn't go in there and buy 30 because they'd red flagged it and said, what the hell you doing? So by September or October, I had 60 or 70 cases in my store.
Wow.
In the back end.
Yeah.
And they came out in November and said, the distributor called me and said, we just noticed that you bought all this 101. Why'd you do that for? And we don't have any, and they quit making it. So
can we buy it back?
What do you want me to do about it? That's your problem. That's one of the few times that I got over on anybody.
I was going to say, in the business world, they call that racketeering.
Little birdie told me, he said, they're going to quit making this. But usually you don't get any hint of it. I mean, they could stop making,
just
whatever.
Standard Buffalo Trace. Right? You don't know.
Pretty much have. I haven't gotten any for his Bourbon Festival, and I look up at my shelf and I don't have any Buffalo Trace and can't get any.
Yeah, it's all an allocation.
I'm sitting there going, duh, that's the name of the distillery, Buffalo Trace, and I don't have any.
Yeah, so I guess kind of talk about what actually, let's roll back in history a little bit. When we had Bill Thomas on the show, he gave you a lot of accolades and saying that you would be his main source of getting a lot of Kentucky bourbon back.
Yeah, there's a Bill Thomas room at Guthrie's house, and he won't even let us in there. We're like, what's back there? We want to know. And he's like, it's all Bill's. It's all for him. So I just talk about the history, right? Talk about how you guys got hooked up, and your side of the story.
Bill told it last time he was out the house. I remember this kid coming in the store, and he wanted to buy a bunch of Four Roses. He couldn't get it in Washington, D.C. They weren't distributing in there. And I said, what you? He said, no, I want to get a bunch of Four Roses. And I said, a bunch of Four Roses? And he said, yeah, I want to get 30, 40, 50 cases of Four Roses. And I said, well, I'll get you whatever you want. So we went through the thing. He had a big truck or was bringing a big truck. So we got him the Four Roses. I gave him a real good price. We became friends. And he bought, they didn't get a whole bunch until, he didn't start getting till about 8 years ago, I guess, 2008 or 9. But I got a Rolodex. You won't believe this. I got one in my store that's got over 800 names where people from all over the country would call me, and the liquor wasn't distributed over there. I did that all during the 90s and 2007 or 8, and then they started getting them, started going to all over the country.
Right.
I had people from Wyoming, Tacoma, Washington.
What would they do? Just fly in a truck?
No, I'd sneak it out to them. I'd sneak it out to them. But, I mean, I still got the box. Every once in a while, somebody will call me, an old customer will call me and say, can you get me a bottle of this? But not like they used to do.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to, Four Roses was, a lot of it was the Four Roses because it wasn't, it's pretty much in Kentucky and
when they first came back
in Tennessee and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's been an experience.
So what's in that Bill Thomas room? I want to know.
I I haven't. He's got them all taped, and I haven't looked at them, Ryan, to tell you the truth. But we might get in one next time you're.
Wait, you mean
down
there's just boxes? Like just boxes taped
Yeah,
up?
there's
Or?
Of bottles, yeah.
There's a couple boxes and bottles.
There's a whole room.
And
saved it.
when Bill listens to this, my wife wants to know when he's going to come get it.
Well, he comes in town. Was he just take some and leave some? And
Sometimes he just goes back there and looks at it.
okay, and that's it.
Like that's it.
Admiring a collection.
He
Kid with
Bill,
his micro machines.
as far as I can tell, Bill knows more about it than anybody as far as where the bourbon came from. He amazes me how he knows who made the bourbon, and it might be 50 years old. That was so and so, and I was, how you know that?
Yeah, geeks out on it.
He really knows it. He knows it. He knows the price of stuff. He does a great job.
Right.
I can't imagine anybody knowing much more than him.
So another question I have is you had mentioned that you would have 5 stacks deep of Van Winkle, and you look at what the market is today and how it's just not there. Does it make you a little pissed off to know that when you try to go and talk to your distributor and you say like, well, hell, I was buying this shit years ago. Like, why are you just now, like, are you playing these games to be able to say that, well, I can't have any, or I can only have a limited amount? I mean, like, I was buying more than your other customers back in the day.
Yeah. It's a $64,000 question. I don't know why they do the things they do.
Mm-hmm.
And
as somebody once called it, they said it's the most legalized form of mafia.
I don't know if I can go that far, but I've had the pleasure to work with a lot of distributors that have helped me. It's more numbers these days with all of them. It's not personal relationship or anything. And used to be that Mr. Smith came out to my store. Mr. Levitch came out to my store that owned Louisville Crown. You had the Bryants that owned Bryant Distributing. They'd come down. All the presidents of the distributors would come down once a year, come through Bardstown. Well, I haven't seen one of them in 10, 12 years from anybody. Mm-hmm. Those days are over with. And I miss them because it's kind of enjoyable. They'd come in, some of them would have a beer and look around and stuff. And
yeah, it's like that.
You don't get that anymore.
I think it was your Southern wine rep that you've been dealing with we did a barrel pick with him, and it was kind of cool to see y'all are just giving each other shit, and like you're like, I want 3 of those, and he's like, we can't get on. And you're like, fuck you, give them to me. It's like, it was just really cool kind of seeing your.
I have had the same sales rep from Southern Wine and Spirits for 31 years, the same guy.
Oh, that's good.
And I tell him he's crazier than me.
I think when I was there, I think like Old Rippy or something, the new Wild Turkey thing was coming out, and you're like, what do you think, Ryan? You think he'll sell? And he's like, well, I can't get you it or something. He's like,
and I ended up getting it, and Eddie Russell told me the story. You know the story on Old Rippy and what's the other one called?
Bond and Lilliard.
Bond and Lilliard, yeah.
They were old distilleries.
Yeah.
They're in Anderson County, and he just does it to honor them. And they said, let's make some for them. And I've never tasted it. I don't know if I'm sure it's good whiskey.
I've never had either.
Wild Turkey's not going to put bad whiskey in there.
No, you wouldn't think so.
No. Yeah, so with that, relationship with him and like doing these barrel picks, like you've had some really awesome barrel picks. Can you talk about some of your favorites you've ever done? I've had the pleasure to do a few with you, and I know one that I've done that's been my all-time favorite.
The Four Roses. I think we did.
The leaky barrel?
Yeah, that we did. That was the one where we only got, what? 30. I only got 36 bottles?
Yeah.
That was the best barrel I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's the best bourbon I've ever tasted.
It's funny.
I still got a bottle of it.
I got like half of mine left, and I don't.
Damn, it was good.
We both tried it, and we looked at each other, and I was like, this one's a special one.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, there's only like 30 bottles, and we're like, we'll still take it.
So I took that and bought another one that day.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the 2. And then the 1792 was good. And then this Russell's Reserve is really good. I've had the pleasure, the old Bookers that he gave out before he started Bookers, that was delicious.
Yeah.
And I think I still got half a bottle of that somewhere. I'm real bad at losing stuff. But it's just it's been a good run. I've enjoyed bourbon all my life, so I've been real lucky for the last 31 years.
Yeah. So is it more fun now that all this attention is here and on you, or do you miss the good old days?
I miss the good old days.
Okay.
But it was slower paced, and it wasn't the bottom line and all that stuff. It's more they're counting their chips every day. And I don't know, it's different.
Do you think it's affecting the quality, or do you think it's? I mean, you gotta understand is that it is all about money now,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
there's no doubt about that.
and not even that. Even 15 years ago, they didn't do it as a charity, right? So
No, you got Beams selling for $15 billion, 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And no telling what they're all worth now.
Absolutely.
There's no telling what Heaven Hill's worth. They paid $337 million for Zazzrock paid that for Barton's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no telling what that plant down there's worth now.
Absolutely.
It's got to be worth 3 times as much, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, are you looking forward to see Bardstown grow in that regard? Do you think that the amount of money that's coming in, do you think they're going to reinvest into the city to be able to help with infrastructure, help with people that are getting into bourbon, or do you think it's still
Heaven Hill's been a good partner for the city of Bardstown. You know, they have. I wish we could do a few things different with the liquor stores, but
what would you do differently?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would just work together and make a few more bourbons. I don't know why they don't do that. I've asked them all. I said, why don't y'all make your 10-year-old very rare? And I only sold 75 cases a year to people from Minnesota, Wisconsin. Call me up, say, Guthrie, you got 2 cases? We're coming through that way. And I don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. They quit making 4-year-old. And I understand some of it, but I think the uniqueness of bourbon is all the different kinds. Yeah. And that's what I miss. You had original barrel, you had old bourbon holla, you had Dowling, you had Mattingly and Moore. Well, Mattingly and Moore is going to sell it in Bardstown. And you got people from all over the country coming in. I'm Mattingly and I'm Moore. I think they sell Mattingly and Moore blend somewhere, but not in Kentucky.
Gotcha.
But all those old labels.
I was about to say, are the labels gone because of, at some point you gotta cut the head off the dragon to, if you're bleeding,
they're focusing so much.
Yeah, if you're bleeding money, you got to refocus, and you have to put it on the core brands that sell, right?
Yeah, but that's part of the allure of bourbon is getting that different kind of bottle that somebody, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, 7-year. To this day, I don't know. Jim Beam quit making 7-year-old 3 years ago. I don't know why somebody doesn't make something and just put a great big 7-year on it. And they haven't done it. And you just, the Beams doesn't have a 7-year-old.
Right.
And take advantage of that, and nobody's done it.
Yeah. When I go down the liquor stores at even some of the, very large stores or anything like that, and even some small stores, like there's still a very good selection on the shelves, right? So are you thinking that the selection needs to just double in variety? I mean, if you're anything like me, then you can't get enough about bourbon. And that's why I'm a subscriber to Bourbon Plus magazine. Bourbon Plus is a quarterly publication that tells the stories from the heart of bourbon, the farmers who grow the grain, the distillers who labor over the process, and the people like you and me who raise their glasses to celebrate it all. Subscribe to Bourbon Plus magazine today at bourbonplus.com, that's PLUS.com, and use code PURSUIT at checkout for $5 off your subscription.
Shopify's already taken the cash register online, helping millions sell billions around the world. But did you know that Shopify can do the same thing at your retail store? Give your point of sale system a serious upgrade with Shopify. Shopify's point of sale is your command center for your retail store. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify has everything you need to sell in person. And with Shopify, you get a powerhouse selling partner that effortlessly unites your in-person and online sales into one source of truth. Track every sale across your business in one place and know exactly what's in stock. Connect with customers in-line and online. Shopify helps you drive store traffic with plug-and-play tools built for marketing campaigns, from TikTok to Instagram and beyond. And get hardware that fits your business. Take payments by smartphone. Transform your tablet into a point-of-sale system or use Shopify's point-of-sale Go mobile device for a battle-tested solution. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Do retail right with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/bourbon, all lowercase, and go to shopify.com/bourbon to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/bourbon.
Yeah. When I go down to liquor stores at even some of the very large stores or anything like that, and even some small stores, like there's still a very good selection on the shelves, right? So are you thinking that the selection needs to just double in variety? I mean, we are getting a lot of
I would like to have a few more varieties. Yeah, I'd like for them to do that. And Barton's and Beams both have, they're devoting that bourbon for quick sale. You got your 1792, and you got your Basil Hayden Knob Creek, and then Heaven Hill's got their Elijah Craig, and they're 18-year-old and they're 23-year-old, and I guess they're devoting a lot of that to that.
I mean, do you think craft has an opportunity to be able to fill this? Craft whiskeys. Or do you think that's? I mean, in your opinion, honestly, give your honest opinion, right?
The only thing I tell the craft people is when they start doing this, look, I'm good. I can sell bourbon, but you got to have a entry level bourbon. You just can't come out of the box selling it for $75 or $59. It doesn't work. I got them up at the store and they don't sell. And I try to tell them, come with a less expensive bottle. Get started. And so far, they pretty much.
So do you think a lot of those things are going to just have to?
I think they'll change. I think they'll start.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to change. But, at this point, as the way the 3-tier system works, like you own those bottles, right? It's on you to figure out how to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to deter you from buying and trying other craft brands? Or is this going to say, sorry, I'm not putting any more shelf space out for anything that's not going to sell?
I do that now. If it says into distilleries in Indiana, flown to Missouri, passed over to Tennessee, back up to Illinois, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Let me see the back of the label there. I said, if it's not Kentucky, it's got to be Kentucky on Kentucky.
You think that's just because of where you're located? When people come to the Bourbon Trail and they come to your store, they kind of think I'm coming here to buy a lot of Kentucky bourbon.
They want Kentucky bourbon. They want Kentucky bourbon barreled here and bottled here. Mm-hmm. They don't want it sent around the country.
Yeah.
And I've stopped even putting it in. I just tell them, no, if it's not Kentucky made, Kentucky barreled and bottled, I don't want it. Mm-hmm. But you were saying something a second ago. There's going to be places, I got to be real careful and not. I've just learned here in the last year and a half not to go there anymore, and I don't go there anymore. Mm-hmm. And they'll come in and say, "Do you have this?" And I said, "No, it's bottled in Indiana, barreled in Missouri. I just don't deal with it."
Mm-hmm. I mean, because you know the clientele that come, right? I mean, and I guess that's a good question: is how much of the clientele is the people that are coming on the Bourbon Trail to come and see your store versus your regular everyday people that are coming in just to kind of keep you afloat?
That'd be the vodka drinkers.
The tourist industry for me at Toddy's Liquors is gravy. I don't depend on it, but it helps. It puts all of us over the edge. Mm-hmm. here in Bardstown, it helps pays the bills.
Right.
And we're taxed heavily, and we got the sales tax every month at every convenient that sells beer, any liquor store that sells liquor. We got to pay 6% to the state of Kentucky on our sales at the end of the month. And it's our problem, and we got to do it. We got to make sure it's in the bank. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of money that goes out of Bardstown just with the liquor stores every month. And you just wonder where that money's going to. And it's going up to Frankfurt, and you wonder why the state of Kentucky's broke. So
why is the state of Kentucky broke? I don't know if I know. Our inventory, every store, that beer's taxed 62% by the time it gets there. Liquor's taxed 62%, and wine's taxed 62%. There's just 38% for the wholesaler, the distillery, and me. Mm-hmm. That's all. 62% of it is taxes, and that's amazing.
That's crazy.
It's not like when you go in to buy your groceries that 62% of that steak's already taxed. Mm-hmm. But we are. They make a lot of money on the liquor industry.
Right. So I guess you're relying on a lot of more volume than to be able to carry that. Right?
Yeah. If you're not selling a lot, you're not doing very good. Mm-hmm. I'm not. If I have a bad week, it's not good.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing in the last 2 years is them taking the age statement off. And me and Freddie Noe talk about it all the time. And I said, Freddie, the distillery says, their survey says that it doesn't matter. Well, it matters
to the buyer.
If Ryan's in my store, and we got a bunch of tourists, they want to know how old that bourbon is. Mm-hmm. They want to know if it's 4 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old. And they took the age statement off the Elijah Craig, 12 years old. I don't know why I put 10 years old on it or 9 years old on it, but they just took it off. And my Elijah Craig sales have gone down.
Yeah. I'd say you said like most people show up, they're disappointed. And why?
That's one of the reasons.
The biggest is the age statements.
Yeah. It makes difference at my store, but we're in the heart of bourbon country too. But our survey says that people don't care. Where are these people?
I was like,
the ones that come in here.
Tell them come in Toddy's Liquors and take that survey.
Yeah, I was going to say, Guthrie, where's your survey at?
Yeah, and Freddie agreed with me. He said, I tell them that all the time, but they took the 9 years old off the Knob Creek. Mm-hmm. You know what people do where's the 9-year-old Knob Creek? And they're doing that to me now.
Because, I guess you have to understand is that, maybe not you have to understand and what everybody has to understand. The major buyer is not the one that comes on the bourbon trail all the time, right? They have a mass market. They got a global market to appease.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of does go back to what you were saying in the very beginning is, can we have certain brands? Like at what point does it become cost efficient enough for them to be able to say, you know what, we're going to put out a limited run of 12-year Elijah Craig, and we're gonna give it to our best retailers out there, and these are the only ones in the country that are going to have it.
Yeah, they really and truly they don't even have to do that. You could probably just keep it in Kentucky and
Bardstown. It's selfish, but I understand.
It's not like it's going to be well, you go, I don't know if y'all travel very much. You go down to New Orleans right now, and there'll be 23-year-old, there'll be Parkers on all the bars and everything, and nobody's drinking them, but they'll have 6 or 7 bottles up there down in New Orleans.
Oh, you can get,
and I'm sitting there going,
you can get Sazerac Rye pretty much anywhere you go.
And I go, well, I'll buy those 6 bottles there. They're not for sale.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, what in the hell? They'd be gone.
Yeah.
They'd be gone. And
it is frustrating when you see like buyers from different, like on Facebook, for instance, they like, oh, today was a good day. Just walked in the store, picked these up, and you're like, you fucker, we got to camp out and stamp out.
Somebody told me they got something the other day in Tennessee someplace. They looked up and saw, I think it was the 12-year-old Weller, and they said it was $19.99 on it. Said they had 2 or 3 bottles, and said they took all 2 or 3 of them. I'm sitting there going, how can you be that far removed and not know that 12 or 12's worth more than that?
Well, yeah.
So we got our computer in front of us, so when somebody comes in and wants something or asking a value, I mean, within 5 seconds, we can look it up and see what it is. And
I mean, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about perceived value and retail price and stuff like that. So where do you fall in that line of are you fall in the line of like there is a limited amount of supply and the demand is high, and so we're going to raise the price?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's because of me being in Bardstown and getting all the phone calls I get. I mean, as we've done this interview, we've had 5 to 10 phone calls asking about something. Mm-hmm. The phone never stops ringing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't you say when BTAC came out, you got 500 calls in a day?
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild. There's sometimes I talk.
I don't even know if there's that many bourbon drinkers and hunters here in Bardstown anyway. I mean, like
this is all over. This is Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky, Chicago, and some I forgot what I had. I had something, and she was in Indianapolis, and she said, "Will you hold those for me?" And this was about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't know when it was.
You're like, you're going to drive 3 hours?
Do what now? And I said, yes, ma'am, I'll hold them for you. She said, do I need to give you my credit card? And I said, no, all you got to do is say Indianapolis. And they're back here with the price on them. Mm-hmm. And if you come and get them today, they're yours.
Yeah.
And I put Indianapolis, $200, whatever. And sure enough, that afternoon, she came riding in and got 3 bottles of something. I can't even remember what it was. I'm just shaking my head. I'm not into myself and I'm a value guy. I'm a Henry McKenna single barrel, a Baker's, a Knob Creek. Those bourbons are fine with me. They're top of the line with me. It's pretty amazing the stuff that they pay a bunch of money for.
No, I know, I understand. And don't be wrong. There's flip sides of this argument, and there's no right answer to this, right? Because there's plenty of people that agree with your side, and there's other people that say, well, I'm only going to sell them to the customers that keep me afloat all year long. They buy a lot of stuff, and I sell at MSRP, right? I sort of do that. I got a lot of customers that I know want a bottle, and I'll hold some back.
How do I become one? I'm kidding.
But it helps us a lot. So I'm 2 ways on that. I don't have anything in the back hiding.
You can take care of the people that take care of you, and then you've got this extra surplus that you do.
Like they'll come in and say, you got anything in the back? I've never met them before. And why would I have something in the back for them?
Right.
I go, I've never met you before. Why would I have something in the back for you? No, I don't have anything in the back. What I got's out of here. Mm-hmm. And I've always done it that way.
Right.
I've tried to be fair and try to middle ground it, what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But I'll take, and then I got guys from Louisville that I've known through the years, and they finally just given up. And I took care of them on the Pappy and stuff, sold my whole collection to them, so I wouldn't even have to be bothered with it 5, 6 years ago. And then it got to be where I sold them so fast, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Right.
So and he said, I understand, but if I get something special in, I'll call him and he'll come out and get 2 or 3 bottles.
Are you hoping this bubble bursts? Or you hope it continues?
I hope it continues in a growth way where they have more of whatever they're giving out. Now, what's Kentucky Al going to do? You know, are they going to make a lot more? Or
I would imagine if they're getting ready to plant $50 million and make a distillery,
right? I got 3 bottles of that when they come out back in September.
Yeah.
I got 3 bottles of it out on Wednesday morning at 10:30. Put them on the left side of the cash register. You know what I'm talking about. Yep. Put them there, and somebody said, how much are they? I said, I don't know. Let's put $750 on them. $750.
Holy smokes.
And they said, well, might be a lot. I said, just put $750 on them. they'll be gone today or tomorrow anyway. 15 minutes later, a little old lady comes walking in the store, and she says, I'm looking for Kentucky Owl. And I said, there's 3 bottles. She said, how much are they? And I said, $750. She said, can I have all 3 of them?
Oh, my gosh.
Now, she bought all 3 of them.
I mean,
within a half an hour of me putting them on the shelf.
Now, is that just more money than sense at that point?
I've never tasted it, Kenny.
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, do you look at it and say, like, I mean, you look at people like that and you're like, what an idiot. Like why would you even? No,
I don't say that, Kenny. But I know the lines you're thinking about, but that's, I've been in it for so long. I just know I'm not I don't have a gun to anybody's head. You don't have to buy it. Mm-hmm. And when she said that, I said, no, ma'am, you can have all 3 of them.
Yeah.
She said, can I use 2 credit cards? And I said, you can use 2 credit cards. She said, I don't want my husband to see $2,300 on one of them. Wow. So she divided it up and she bought all 3 bottles.
Wow. Well, don't let Dixon hear this because then he's going to keep raising the price.
Yeah.
So what do you think about I think one hot topic for you is the gift shops selling it at their stores and them taking all the bottles that liquor store owners should be getting, especially here in Bardstown.
It hurts Bardstown. It hurts Lawrenceburg, and it's starting to hurt down in Louisville. The Louisville liquor stores are getting it from, downtown and the Whiskey Row place and stuff. They're selling down there. And yes, I never dreamed from Bill Samuel's one simple Maker's Mark bottle dipping it 16 years ago that it would go to this.
Yeah.
They would be selling. What hurts us so bad is all the products they sell over there that we don't even get. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of the Heaven Hill and Maker's Mark both. I mean,
some of the
we don't even get them.
A lot of the Parkers or the William Heaven Hills and stuff
like the Willets used to sell the Willets, Family Day. Now you can't even get in.
Yeah, we don't even get it.
Well, let's think about this in a different arena real quick. Would it be more beneficial? Because at this point, they would just be leaving money on the table, right? I mean, you think if you go to an experience that, you want to come away with something, right? And a bottle of whiskey at a distillery, it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if they were just limited to selling, either only the limited editions or basically their run of the mill stuff. Like, how do you find that fair ground where and not only that is most of these places, they charge more than their regular retail shop. So they don't want to try to take it away, but they're leaving money on the table unless they actually have something.
The best way I can answer all this is before and after, before the gift shops and after the gift shops. I got more interest, but I used to do pretty good in the late 90s and stuff without the gift shops. So everybody says, it's helped you tremendously. I really don't know if it's helped me tremendously. I don't know. And that's one thing about it. But, like you got Maker's Mark, they got 2 different kinds of moonshine that they sell over there. Mm-hmm. I've never had a bottle in my store.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But do you really think that's what let's be honest, do you really want to carry more clear liquid in your store? Okay.
No, I'm the least moonshine store in the state.
Probably the frustrating thing is
it's frustrating.
I was about to say, but let them keep their gimmick, right? Yeah. Let's keep them, something.
I would love them to keep their gimmick and quit selling the Bill Samuel's bourbon and stuff that we don't have.
Right.
I think it would be fair if they. I think it's fair that they can sell like Elijah Craig or their standard core brands, but I don't think it's fair to liquor store owners that they can sell their limited releases there and charge more. I personally believe that because you got customers coming into a liquor store consistently buying beer, wine, liquor all year long, and then they want one time a year to get a special, and they can't. But they can go to the gift shop that they don't spend any money to except one time a year and go get it. I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about it. But I am good friends with Guthrie, so I'm on his side.
We were talking a little while ago, and for them to go out there and buy $400 bottles and line up and 300. I just shake my head. I can't believe that people do that.
Well, I'm one of those people, but that's beside the point. But I mean, for me, I don't mind. Like I don't mind going to the distillery and waiting for a release, only because it is. It's going to be one of the first ones to actually hit the market. Not only that is, you have an opportunity to buy it sometimes at a fair price, right? I mean, that's just what it is.
Now, do you drink those bottles or do you save those bottles?
A little bit of both, right?
Okay.
I'll show you a picture of my bar after this, and we can talk about that. But
he's got tons.
The idea is that I have the opportunity to get them at a fair price, and and I'm sure you're not alone in this situation. Is that I've got my own retail store that I go to and I support, but I'm not the only bourbon drinker that goes there, right?
Yeah.
And I've got to be very selective about. I just can't go in and ask for every damn release that comes out, right? I just can't do that. I have to be very selective about what I want to do and let it be fair to his other customers. So therefore, I have to have basically a plan B, right? So that's kind of my thought process behind it.
Yeah, no, I can see both sides. I think
it's very touchy. I think
I'm just used to the old days of walking in, the Toddies or wherever, and they had it. That's what's frustrating for they've always had.
But that was
anywhere.
That was 5 years ago. Those days are over.
Now,
I just haven't gotten over it.
In Bardstown, we've got hit the hardest. You got Jim Beam, you got Barton's, and you got Heaven Hill, and you got Willetts. Nobody else has that much concentration. We've got hit the hardest with that. Mm-hmm. There's no comparison to anybody else. I guess
nobody coming to St. Matthews,
Lawrenceburg,
to come see it.
Versailles, and they just got one. They got up. I don't even know. Buffalo Trace is different. They're a different type. It doesn't seem like they have that much for sale there.
No,
they don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's your idea of how, so if you have Barton, you've got Heaven Hill, you've got Willett, you've got all these big distilleries out here. Like, what can they do to help support you? Like, what's your idea to help solve that problem?
Ooh, I would just love to sit down and talk with them.
Well,
I would love to sit down and talk with them, and that's harder to do than you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do. You can call them up and say, would you meet with me? And I'll give you a call back. Well, you never get a call back.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much every one of them.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's just become too corporatized at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But I mean, you're right.
Can't you
just go knock on their door?
I guess I could.
You could.
I guess I could.
You could damn near do a punch kick pass and be able to get over there.
Something in me just says, just keep on fighting. And I think someday somebody smarter than me is going to figure this stuff out. It could be a lot better road we could go down if we would try something different and listen to each other. They never. I'll give you an example, and I don't know why they did it, but as soon as I heard about it, it was a great idea. It was the little Booker bottle that they did over there. And somebody told me about it, and they said, well, will you be getting any? I've gotten 50 phone calls on that the last week or so. Mm-hmm. And they just did it for over there. Whatever they had, was it for...
What, Little Booker? Are you talking about?
It's the one where it's the decanter where Freddie's talking.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No,
I guess not.
It's Freddie's talking, and you push the button, and Freddie starts talking.
I know what you're talking about. It's it's almost like
they just made them for over there.
It's like an Amazon Alexa.
What would they call and say? Call 6 months ago and say, Guthrie, do you want any of these? And I said, yeah, give me 10 cases of them. And I don't know what's the difference between making 15,000 of them, and I don't know what they made, 1,200 of them or whatever. Mm-hmm. But everybody wants one, and it is cute and it is funny. But no, I've never seen one.
No, I think you could only order them online that day or something like that.
Yeah, it's real limited. And why do you do that for when you could?
Yeah, when the demand's there, why only make?
You could give us a chance to get in on it, say, or just limited us, say you want 5 cases of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that would promote the brand, but they don't.
Right.
So yeah, we need to plan better and stuff. all of us do. I'm very interested in the new Russian thing. I think that's fascinating.
The new Russian thing. That's Kentucky out, by the way, for anybody that's kind of like trying to decipher it.
Stoli. Are they going to make vodka? They're going to make both of you. Who knows?
Yeah.
Are they going to build a big hotel? Where are they going to get the workers?
I guess that's a big, I mean, it looks like that's a big gripe of yours too. I mean, can Bardstown support anymore?
I don't know. You can go into any fast food restaurant or go out to Cracker Barrel and over the side, Help Wanted. Mm-hmm. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Kroger's Help Wanted, $12 an hour. Mm-hmm. And you just wonder.
Yeah, that's the hard part about the hospitality, growing it here is like, because the difference, I was talking about this with Donald, the difference between like Sonoma and the food, the restaurant scene, and then like is so much better than Bardstown. Yeah. And when people are coming to Bardstown to see bourbon, they're very savvy, educated consumers who want like high quality food. But in Bardstown, you need like educated staff and like staff that's like gonna know the food, and from the few times I've been in these new places here, it's like the staff was not the best, and the experience was not the best, and it's like that's one concern I do have is the workforce.
And this is your hometown,
and this is my hometown. I mean, I hate to say that, but
it's a problem we have, right? It needs to be addressed. And there's no harder business in the world than the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And you got to be a dedicated owner, a dedicated cook. You got to be good at the bar. You got to have a part law degree, part psychiatrist degree. I mean, it's just amazing. A little bit of everything. You got to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I guess the hard part is Bardstown's such a rural community, and it's versus I don't know. It's coming a long way, but it's still got a long way to go.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
It amazes me how sometimes during the summer and during the Bourbon Festival, how rocking this place gets.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's for a little town, I guess it's the rockinest town in Kentucky for a little town.
I mean, as we speak, we're in my buddy Pikey's, shout out him for letting us use his Airbnb. If you need an Airbnb, it's called Honey Hole. I think it's in a great location here in downtown. But it amazes me that there's Airbnbs in Bardstown.
Yeah.
Now that it's gotten to this point. So there is, it is exciting.
All over the place.
So when Bourbon Festival is starting to spin up, what is your consumer base, or what are the people coming in from out of town? What are they expecting out of your store?
They're expecting a lot more. All the bourbons we've been talking about, not having them and stuff. Mm-hmm. They can't understand it.
Right.
No, that's once a year, and that'd be next month. Mm-hmm. Well, can I get on the list? There is no list because I don't get enough to make up a list. Mm-hmm. And that's disappointing. We try to educate them and show them the value bourbons. I got value bourbons. He's got value bourbons. And, you take very old Barton 90 and Evan Williams 1783. Great value, under $20 and stuff, and good bourbons. And, the Old Forester has surprised me here lately, the 100 proof, how much better it is than it used to be.
Yeah.
And we just try to point them out. I got the Heaven Hill 6-year-old. 6-year-old.
Do you sell a lot of that?
I sell that by the case.
Yeah. Because
they'll come in. I said, try a bottle, and if you want to, come back and get a case.
It's like it's cheap enough, right?
So it's cheap enough. It's $130-something a case. Mm-hmm. And I sell a lot of them. I keep 5 or 6 cases all the time just for that reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that used to be the old 10-year-old very rare. Mm-hmm. I used to keep 10 cases of that all the time because I didn't know when somebody from Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota was going to come in and want 3 cases.
Right.
And I miss those days. I just don't have much left. I got Heaven Hill Green and Heaven Hill White Label. And
so as we kind of think about this and start closing out, you had a lot of gripes. What is your kind of give us like a two checklist? Like what are the positives that have come out of this?
All the friends that I've made from all over the country. It's I've enjoyed every bit of it when you invite people down to your house for a drink and they become good friends. I had a good friend from Ohio just died. I had to go up there January 6th. They're having a memorial for him at a bar. So I'll go up there January 6th. Mm-hmm. And he was a character. But I'll be up there. And I don't know the rest of his friends. I just know him from down here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Thomas and Mike Miller and Sally Miller and from Chicago, and just met a lot of people from all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that everybody came here and you stay connected with them and create those. I mean, that's what bourbon's all about, really, though. Yeah. It's like those relationships. It's never about the spirit. It's always about gathering around and trying things and having a good time.
Like Bourbon Festival, it's nothing for somebody come down to the house that I haven't seen. Well, you're just stopping by.
Yeah.
And they know I'm pretty much working all day and I'll be there at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened this past year.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen them in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And they stop by. And they know they're welcome. And it's been fun working, seeing the ins and outs of it all the last 30 years. I mean, we've all seen big changes in the way it's distributed, the way we sell it, everything. And I've changed, and everybody's changed. The biggest gripe I have is I wish there was just more different brands. And that's just something that the consumer has to deal with, and I have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I told you my points. I don't know why they don't make these other, make 100, 150 cases of them. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean,
I don't know why Heaven Hill just doesn't say, we're going to make this. How many cases you want of it?
Well, you gotta route through somebody else to be able to get that anyway, right?
Yeah, so, just say, and give it to all the stores. Oh, I'll take 10 cases of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I wish someday they might do that.
Maybe it'll just.
And I don't know what the impact of the new distilleries are going to be. I'm sure Limestone over in Lebanon is going to come up with a less pricey bourbon. They're doing the Yellowstone over here, and Rebel Yell, they seem like they're aggressive and stuff. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
if they're going to make better quality bourbon.
Right. Well, good. I mean, I guess there is a future outlook here, then, right?
There is a future outlook.
All right.
Outlook, and then you, and Ryan could guess all day what what the Stoley's going to do with
the Russians.
The Russians, what they're going to do? What are they going to make another different kind of bottle of bourbon? Or are they just going to stay?
I'm sure they will.
Kentucky Owl.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. I'm sure everybody's going to come in. They're going to be running on all cylinders and pumping as much as they can out there.
How long has that been out? 6 years? Kentucky Owl?
No, not even that. Like
2 to 3.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it's been longer than 2 to 3.
No, this is the third year.
Because the first time it came out, I got like 18 bottles because nobody wanted it. So it's been 5 or 6.
They've had 5 or 6 releases, but there's been 2 or 3 a year.
And
now I'm down to 3 bottles.
Right, down to 3 bottles.
Let's say at the most it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
I'll say that. but anyway, let's go ahead and kind of close this out. So, Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Guthrie, thanks for coming on, man. I've been wanting to get you on here for a long time.
I've enjoyed it, Ryan. I've enjoyed it, kid. I hope
I bet 30 years ago, you never thought you'd be on a podcast talking about your liquor store.
Didn't even know that it existed
Till today. No, I'm kidding. No, I much appreciate it. And if you are on the Bourbon Trail, please do stop in and say hi to Guthrie. Tell him you heard him on the podcast and say,
I want the Bourbon Pursuit discount.
I want the Bourbon Pursuit discount. But and don't bitch if he doesn't have what you're looking for. But he's got, like he said, you got the 6-year Heaven Hill, the 7. There's so many value brands. He's got all of them there for you. And he'll show you. He's got a great palate. I've been on barrel picks with him. He knows what he's talking about. So you can't go wrong with what he sells you. So
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Kenny.
So it's going to be real easy to be able to find Toddy's Liquor Store whenever you're driving around downtown Bardstown. You can't miss it. It's the yellow building with the white sign with the blue lettering that says Toddy's. You can pull up on Google Maps and figure where it's at. But if you like the show, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Bourbon Pursuit. Follow us on social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @Bourbon Pursuit.
Yeah, and if you have any show suggestions, comments, feedback, we love hearing from you all to get show ideas. So please keep them coming, and we will see you next time.